Welcome to Comics with Dan, and today we're going to be reviewing Vanishing Point number one. Vanishing Point is a new anthology series from Mad Cave Studios. It's part science fiction, part existential horror. It's currently solicited as a six-issue series, as is with Mad Cave's current MO, but I really hope that there's more where this came from. This story was about a man named Jim who leaves his family to go to space to mine for valuable minerals. If he meets his quota, he gets paid and he can come home and never really has to work again. But if he comes home early before he meets his quota or the 10 years are up and he doesn't meet the quota, he doesn't get a single dime. Needless to say, things don't exactly go as planned for Jim, but I'll leave it at that to kind of keep this spoiler free. This was definitely my horror cup of tea. Mark Russell relies on the suspense of being alone in space, being cut off from loved ones, and not really knowing what's out there. He relies on that to really drive the horror aspect of the book, which I love. The story develops and keeps the reader guessing on what could possibly go wrong next. I appreciate that Russell makes the reveal of what the horror is in the book. He makes it more of a gradual process rather than just kind of dropping it on the reader at one point. I felt that he really built up to it, and I liked that. In addition to the well-crafted story, the main character, Jim, is really well developed for being the main character of like a one-shot or a single anthology issue. We get insights into sort of what Jim's hopes and fears and anxieties are. Russell kind of he like builds him up as this, pretty admirable guy. Not anything like over the top and heroic or anything, but just someone that wants to do right by their family. And it's great because he ends up having this sort of moral conundrum later on that we see him have to solve, and it really lends itself well to the character because he's sort of set up as someone who's just trying to do the right thing. The art by Juan Doe is really well done. This is my first experience of his work, and I did like it. He has a really clean, sort of cartoonist type style that it makes the book a really easy read. Generally speaking, like my favorite types of art style are with more like intricate line work than what Doe really puts out here. But it's very straightforward, and I think it lends itself well to the book. I do really like the facial expressions that Doe draws, and I think that they're really important to the book because a lot of this book, considering that Jim is in space alone, he's oftentimes the only character there, right? So rather than Mark Russell needing to, create 1,000 narration boxes talking about how Jim is feeling, Doe is able to in these facial expressions and body language that really drives what Jim is feeling and how he's feeling and where the story is going. So Wando becomes a much more active member of the storytelling in this, and I love that, and I think it works really well for a book set in space with really one character. That was also on coloring duties, and I liked his choices here. You can see at the beginning in these preview pages that he's not really going outside the box much, which is good, I think, because I think what is trying to be done here is expressing a feeling of comfortability. It's early on in Jim's mission. Things are going well so far, or at least well enough. There's not any kind of looming danger so far, and so some of the colors are comfortable, right? The reader's comfortable with what they're seeing. Now, later on in the story, as things start to unwind a bit and things start to go wrong, the colors that Doe uses, he uses sort of more of like the same color within certain pages and panels. So he'll use varying shades of like pink and purple and like dark blue, which are all very like cosmic looking colors. And so it gives you that feeling of Jim is out there in space and like it's not a quick turnaround to go home. right? It gives you that feeling that he's trapped.
Carlos Mangual was the letterer for this issue, and I felt that his work was pretty good. I particularly liked the font that he used for Jim's journal, so to speak, and the sound effects were definitely a nice touch. In terms of page layout, he did a great job of keeping the flow of the story and making sure there wasn't any confusion on which order to read. So, just a solid job by Carlos Mangual. So, Vanishing Point number one, when I first saw it solicited, it definitely piqued my interest. It hit my high expectations on all counts. While the whole creative team did a really good job, I think that Mark Russell's story really stood out for me. I just loved the way that he played into the loneliness of space. And how it was horror, but it wasn't just like violent horror. There was something, kind of give you to think about, or he gave you kind of something to think about, rather. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars on League of Comic Geeks. Vanishing Point number one from Mad Cave Studios. Final order cutoff is today, April 14th. So make sure you get that onto your pull list. It hits shops May 7th and has a price point of $4.99. Make sure you like the video, make sure that you subscribe, check out my other videos here, and thank you for watching.